a national network that did well. Describe those projects, what you hope to do along those lines, and do they generate new leads and new cases for you?
So our movie is called Missing 411, was on iTunes and Amazon. That movie was about a series of small kids that disappeared. Starred Les Stroud and a noted newsman. And it described how these children left an area where there were others and were found miles and miles away or under conditions that made no sense to a parent. Did really well. Another special that was just released January 5th by the History Channel was about 2 cases of missing people in the wilderness. And we brought in a physicist, a theoretical physicist, to talk about some possibilities. It also did real well. We've got another project in the works, another movie about a series of hunters, archery and rifle hunters, that have disappeared. And that's almost done. All of these have brought up more leads than I could ever explain. And people always say, well, how do you know they're credible and how do you know they're truthful? Well, George, you've been in the news business a long time. I was a cop for 20 years. And you kind of get a feeling for people after a while if they're telling you the truth or if they're wiggling around, telling you something that may be questionable. In all the work we do, especially in my prior work and other books, is we've always taken affidavits from people. So signing under penalty of perjury that what you're telling us is the truth. Something that a lot of authors won't do, but something I've done in past books.
Are you closer to an answer? I mean, you've been careful not to box yourself in and say, it's this, it's that. There were a lot of people, because you had written about Bigfoot cases before, aha, he doesn't want to say it, but it's Bigfoot. Are you closer to an answer, and do you think you're ever going to nail it down?
Thousands of people have written to me over the years, and they've said, Dave, one thing we really like about you is you don't theorize, you don't hypothesize, and you don't go off on wild junctures. I will say that if there was an answer, I would be the first one to come out and say it. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but right now, there's no concrete one item that you can say, this is causing that. And because of no tracks, no scent trail, no witnesses to these events, we've had people say, well, it's got to be UFOs, it's got to be reptilians, it's got to be Bigfoot, it's got to be this. In reality, I don't think you can say it's just one thing. And because of that, I'm very careful about what I do.
I mean, it could be you never know. It could be you never get an answer.
Well, it goes back to even the incidents that happened at Skinwalker Ranch. If you think about the variety of things that you encountered when you were there, and then you apply that to the normal world, a lot of those things are seen by the people on the outside, but you may never hear about it. I have heard about a lot of that.
You work with a lot of Native Americans over the years and develop very strong relationships there. Have you run this by them? Do they have an answer?
You know, I'm one of these guys that really believes in the spiritual world, and the Native Americans have been very good to me over the years. And one of my best friends is Harvey Pratt, a Cheyenne Arapaho Native American chief, 50 years in law enforcement, super smart man. We talk about these things all the time. And he says, Dave, he goes, the vast majority of Native American tribes say they come from the star people. And we have always talked about the relationship between the stars and us. And I think if we as people don't open ourselves up to the people that had this land before we even got here and probably encountered the same sort of things that you and I are encountering today, that'd be foolish.
It feels like a harvest. Some people are plucked. You know, you're walking along, a group of people in a line, and somebody reaches out and plucks one of them. You've noticed some statistical correlations of those who are most likely to be taken somewhere.
That was something that was even surprised us, and that is that I started to write about a series of physicists that disappeared. And I worked on this for 2-3 years. And I came up with 5 physicists that have vanished, never been found. And surprisingly, each one were German. I could not find another type of physicist that has vanished that wasn't German. And the surprising thing, they were German physicists visiting the US that disappeared.
Maybe our government's taking them. Get their secrets.
Well, the locations that these people have vanished, way in the middle of nowhere.
The other side of the spectrum is also true, though. Really smart and then developmentally disabled.
Exactly. And that's another subset of the profile points that I talk about, is that you have this definitive extremes in the disappearances in many cases. You have a lot of physicians, physicists, people with advanced degrees that are disappearing. On the other end, you have people that have some sort of either development disability or they have some sort of illness or injury that may not even be obvious, but when you question the relatives, I was surprised to learn these people had some type of congenital problem that nobody else knew